everyone, welcome to my channel, Andrew Makes. Today we're continuing the vlog live series, so thanks so much for joining me. It really means a lot to me. Today I'm going to be chatting with the super fun Michelle from Michelle Sews Again. You've heard me mention her many times on my channel. I love her and you will too. So if you haven't subscribed yet to her channel, I will put a link in the description box, so check it out and head on over there and subscribe. And she's going to be sharing her YouTube journey with us today. So here's my conversation with Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today to share your YouTube journey with us.
Hi, Andra. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored.
You know, I'm delighted. I cannot wait for this. Tell us when you started your channel and what prompted you to start your channel.
Well, officially, I started my channel in August of 2020, so last year. But I was really very sporadic about it until probably February or March of this year. I had just started sewing again after like a 25+ year break in March of last year when our office closed down for COVID. And I've been watching YouTube since 2009, but I was really concentrated on watching beauty YouTube for like a decade. And then when I started sewing again, I was like, oh, let me dig into the sewing YouTuber community, and just like got hooked. And within a couple of months, I was like, well, I have some ideas. So I just decided to jump in and do it. And so I did. And like I said, last year, I was really sporadic about it. I don't even think I posted a video a month. And then this year, I really started doing a lot more.
I think that's the way you have to do it, is just jump in. I don't think there's any other way.
I agree.
Well, you've only had your channel a relatively short time, but in that time, do you think YouTube itself has changed at all? And also, do you think you have changed since you've had your channel?
I'm not sure if YouTube has changed or not, because I didn't really pay attention to how the mechanics of it worked behind the scenes. I didn't really pay attention to my analytics until like really recently. So I'm not really sure how YouTube might have changed. I have definitely changed. So it's funny, I've gained so much confidence by doing this. I'm an introvert by nature. And so it's funny because I didn't really hesitate to start a YouTube channel, even though I'm an introvert, because although the potential for tons and tons of people to see my video is out there, it just feels very anonymous. You know, like I can say I'm talking to a friend about things that I want to talk about, but I don't see, it's not like standing in front of a room full of people where you're watching them watch you, you know? So my husband was watching me recently. He doesn't watch my channel. He's not interested in sewing, but he's seen me film. Like in the very beginning, he helped me learn how to edit. And then recently he happened to be home and I was filming here in the living room instead of in my sewing room. And after I was done, he looked at me, he said, wow, you've really like found your groove. He's like, you're so much smoother now than you were in the beginning. So definitely gained some confidence, both in front of, for filming, but also just in general, more confidence in like how I carry myself, and being proud of what I'm wearing really makes a difference in how I carry myself and how I feel about myself out in the world. So I think just from that alone, this YouTube journey has been worth it.
That is amazing. And I think, as with anything, the more you do something, the more you improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in the relatively short time you've had your channel, have you ever wanted to not YouTube anymore?
Not really. I mean, like I said, last year, I was really sporadic about it. And then I took like a 4-month break when I was moving from Philadelphia to Miami, and I lived in a hotel for 6 weeks, and I just wasn't set up to do any filming, but I never really wanted to stop. I enjoy it. I enjoy the community aspect of it more than anything, and interacting with people and meeting people like you is so much fun. And I never thought I would get past 20 subscribers. So now, I reached 1,000 back in September, and I have like a group of viewers that like interact with me all the time in comments, and I just love it. I get amazing feedback, and just, it's just a lot of fun. So I have not yet wanted to stop.
I totally agree about the sewing community, and that has been the common denominator throughout all this. The sewing community is amazing and so supportive and knowledgeable, and it's just wonderful.
It really is. So I mentioned that I spent like over a decade watching beauty YouTube videos, and I amassed like a serious collection of cosmetics. But the one theme that always came through from the people that I watched was how they had to constantly like defend themselves in their videos, and they were getting hate in their comments, and just people being really nasty. And that is like one thing that kind of maybe made me hesitate a minute before I jumped in. But I don't feel like the sewing community is the same. It's just a very, to your point, very supportive community. And that's why I love it so much.
I totally agree, and I'm experiencing the same thing. What do you think is the most rewarding thing about having a YouTube channel, and then the most challenging thing about having a YouTube channel?
Well, rewarding is definitely the community and interacting with people. I've made several like friends. Like I have some that I've met in real life. And then there's some that I would love to meet in real life. There's a handful of you, like I would love to meet you, Sarah from Naughty Gnome. I'm going to forget people, so I should stop listing. But there's several people that I feel like a connection with, even though maybe our styles are different and the things that we like to sew are different and the fabrics that we use are different. I get inspired by so many people, even though, our aesthetic isn't necessarily the same. And I love that aspect of it, getting inspired by people. And I really, really love it when I get a comment on one of my videos that I have inspired somebody. That's just very rewarding. It makes me feel very good.
Well, I would love to meet you also, and we are going to make it happen someday.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about your content a little bit. How do you personally balance uploading, producing content that you personally want to versus what may resonate better with your viewers?
So for me personally, this is, so far, it's been a hobby. And I think what resonates with people is the fact that I'm authentic to who I am. So it's not that I don't worry about what my viewers want to see. I feel like my viewers want to see what I want to film, if that makes sense. So I have had some great recommendations in the comments for things that people would like to see. And if it's something that I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun, then I'll do it. If it's something that's not really my cup of tea, then I will, politely decline. So I feel like the fact that I'm doing stuff that I love to do makes me authentic in my presentation, which is why I resonate with the people who choose to watch my videos.
I totally agree. And like Andrea from Sewspire said in her interview, your vibe will attract your tribe.
Yes, exactly. I 100% agree with that.
I do too. How do you handle unkind comments if you receive any?
So I have a pretty thick skin, but I can get a little put off. What I have found to be the key is is to actually stop myself before I get like worked up and really read the comment, because I haven't had many that what I would even put in that category. And the ones that I would put in that category, once I stopped and read them and took, because tone is such an issue with the written word, right? So once I've like stopped and read through it, the majority of time I can look at it and see their intention was that it's constructive criticism and not being nasty. So I love constructive criticism. I feel like it has made me better and made my videos more enjoyable to watch. For example, I had a woman one time, and it was her, the way that I read it was, initially was negative, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I have that same issue when I watch other people's videos. She was like, please, 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 all in caps, show your makes or the pattern cover for more than 4 seconds. You talk about it for like 60 seconds, so show it so that I can see what you're talking about. But the fact that she started it all in caps, I was just like immediately like taken back, and then I stopped and I read it. I'm like, yeah, I get annoyed at that same thing. Like, of course, that's constructive criticism. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to start doing that. So I've definitely started, I've used that feedback to improve how I show clips in my videos. So I think if I would go through all the comments like that on my videos, I would say 100% of them were intended as constructive. I don't think I've had like a truly nasty comment.
That is wonderful. When you started your channel, did you have any long-term goals?
No, I just wanted to talk about sewing. I don't have anybody in my real life that sews. And I just wanted to talk about sewing. And as much as I loved interacting and comments in other people's videos, I had my own ideas of what I wanted to share and talk about that I wasn't seeing in the sewing community. So I was just like, it was just a way for me to have some sewing friends. And so yeah, it was just started as a hobby. At this point, for me, it's still a hobby. I am starting to, delve a little bit more into like ambassadorship and some affiliate things, but I do that with products that I believe in, so that it's still like true to me. But that's more, I look at those things more as additional ways to help me improve my sewing skills, because that's really what this is for me, is improving. It's my journey on improving my skills, and all of these things kind of push me outside of my comfort zone, because otherwise I would sew, tops that have a shoulder seam and a side seam and call it a day. So all of these different things kind of help me push a little bit further and try new techniques and just improve my skills.
Great attitude. If we allow it, the comparison game can be discouraging. How do you handle the comparison game, and what is your advice for that?
So it's funny because I have had earlier this year, I was struggling a little bit with like seeing people who might have started their channel after me reach 1,000 subscribers before me. And I did let it get to me a little bit. And then I stopped myself. I sat back and I'm like, why does that bother you? This is just a hobby for you. It's because I'm naturally competitive. That's why. But, and then when I sat back and looked at the channels that was happening with, I had to be honest and say, what is it that they're providing that I'm not? And do I want to provide that? If I don't, then, then they're doing what they want to do, and they're reaching subscribers that are meaningful to them. That's not the direction that I want to take. And at the end of the day, I just needed to be me. It did push me to think of different ideas for videos on my channel that still resonated with me, were still things I wanted to do, but it forced me to be a little bit more creative in my content ideas. But I'm still doing things that I enjoy. And, I'm never going to be, or I don't expect to ever be like a 10,000, 20,000 subscriber channel. And I don't need to be. I think that 1,000 mark is just like, that's where I wanted to hit. And then now that I'm there, I'm kind of like, okay, well, as long as I can maintain this, then I'll be good. And I'm happy with, the group of people that I've kind of got going on in my community. So I think the advice would be to think about what your actual goals are and be honest with yourself when you're comparing yourself to another channel, whether or not that is really what your goals are, And are they bringing something to the table that you're not, that's getting them some subscribers? And is that part of what you want to do? If it's not, then don't compare. And if it is, then you need to figure out a way to put your own spin on it, because copying somebody else isn't going to work for you. You've still got to be authentic to yourself.
I totally agree. And great segue about the 1,000 subscribers, because that's where we're going next. Reaching 1,000 subscribers is a huge milestone for a channel. What advice and or words of encouragement would you give smaller channels who haven't reached that yet?
Just be yourself. I think, well, the very first thing is to be consistent. When I was really sporadic, if I had maintained that cadence of filming, I never would have reached 1,000. But being more consistent, posting at least once a week. I don't have a schedule like a lot of people have, like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. I don't have that. I film and I post when I feel like it, other than Friday shows. I think I've only missed one since I started. But I think being consistent with at least one a week. And if you have more ideas than that, then do more. But I think consistency, showing up and being authentic is going to be what resonates with people. And I think part of it too, for me, was the combination of YouTube and Instagram, and kind of being active in both and having different content in both, so that there's a reason for people to, follow you on Instagram and follow you on YouTube. Because if everything's the same, then they only need to follow you on one channel. And one is kind of a teaser for the other, in my opinion. So I think that is helpful as well. But yeah, being consistent, showing up, being authentic, that would be my advice. And eventually you'll get there.
Great advice. What do you think is the biggest misconception about having a YouTube channel?
I don't talk about my YouTube channel very much with people in my real life, but when I do, especially people who have kids, they think, that people are just doing YouTube to make money. That's definitely not something that's, the vast majority of us are not making any kind of money that's gonna, replace a job income. I think that's probably the biggest misconception.
Yes, I agree. Okay, what advice would you give, and or words of encouragement, would you give fellow sewing YouTubers and also those who may be thinking about starting their own YouTube channel?
I think just enjoy yourself. Provide content that makes you happy. I think that will come through in the presentation. And for people who are thinking about it, just do it. Just jump in and do it. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. I feel like the video content on my channel is pretty decent. And all I use is a tabletop tripod in my phone. I don't have a microphone. I don't have any lighting. I happen to have good lighting in my living room, and I have good lighting in my sewing room. So maybe that's why I don't need like a ring light or anything. But yeah, just find a place with good lighting, make sure that your audio is good, and just get started. If you overthink it, then you're gonna wait too long. And the more you overthink it and the more longer you wait, the more nervous you're gonna get about it. Just jump in. Your first couple of videos are gonna be not so great anyway. So just get in, get used to it, learn how to edit. Honestly, I didn't start editing. I inserted pictures and things like that, but I didn't start editing and cutting things out until a couple of months ago. My husband called me One Take Jake, because I would just get on and start chatting, and all the hems and haws and all that were in my video until a couple months ago. And I finally just started like cutting some of those things out, so that it kind of reduced the length of my video. But yeah, I just get on and I start talking and I go off on tangents, but that's who I am. And some people like it. Yeah, just get on and do it. Be yourself.
wonderful advice and encouragement. Well, Michelle, I have adored speaking with you. I could not wait for this. Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us, and I cannot wait for the viewers to see this. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Bye.
Bye.
I really enjoyed my conversation with Michelle, and I know you did too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You know I love hearing from you, and I do have a playlist of all the other sewing vloggers I've interviewed, and I will link it right here, so check that out. It's really fun to listen to while you're sewing. And as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. It really means a lot to me. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel thus far. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you would. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!